it is going to take some time to understand what the viral format is on TikTok Shop and what works. And you're going to need to do a couple cycles of these samplings before you have something that you're ready to amplify with ads, right? For example, different content styles and different ways influencers showcase the product.
Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level. Join Josh Hadley, an 8-figure ecom business owner and investor, as he interviews highly successful business owners. Get ready, because you're going to learn specific actions you can take today to help your business reach its full potential and leave a lasting impact on the world.
Welcome to the Ecom Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley, where I interview the top business leaders in e-commerce. Past guests include Kevin King, Michael E. Gerber, author of The E-Myth, and Matt Clark from ASM. Today, I am speaking with Sohan Sanka, and he is going to be talking a lot about how to approach creator marketing for TikTok Shop and social commerce, and how this is going to explode your sales and make you relevant for the next decade of e-commerce. This episode is brought to you by Ecom Breakthrough, where I specialize in investing in and scaling 7-figure e-commerce brands to 8 figures and beyond. If you're an ambitious e-commerce entrepreneur looking for a coach or a consultant who can help take your business to the next level, I bring hands-on experience, strategic insights, and the resources needed to fuel your growth. So if you or someone you know is ready to scale or looking for that coach or consultant or mentor, have them reach out to me directly at josh@ecombreakthrough.com. That's ecom with 2 M's, and let's turn your dreams into reality. Today, I'm excited to introduce you all to Sohan Sanka. Sohan is currently with Yuka.ai, and they strive to build more impactful AI-powered solutions for marketers. Fueled by his curiosity, Sohan has taken roles across multiple departments and stood up several verticals for UGC, TikTok Shop, and influencer marketing throughout his career. Sohan has also conducted strategic workshops and audits of top brands and agencies to help them optimize their creator marketing workflows. So with that introduction, welcome to the show, Sohan.
Thanks for having me on. Super excited to be here and absolutely love this podcast and love what you guys are doing.
Awesome. Well, hey, I am excited to have you on the show. You and I met a few months back, and we've already jumped on a few calls outside of our conversation today. And we've always had very productive, fruitful conversations. And I am super excited to have you kind of spill the beans on everything that you've been working on and what's actively working in social commerce right now, and sharing that with our audience. Because I know this, everybody in the Amazon ecosystem that's been selling on Amazon, like, they want to move more volume of sales off of Amazon, or at least they want to start generating more demand and traffic for their Amazon products off of Amazon, right? Because it feeds the beast, this whole algorithm and flywheel on Amazon itself. So with that being said, Sohan, tell me about your background. How did you get into this world of social selling, influencer marketing, etc.?
Yeah, I'd love to jump in. So my first job out of college, I actually worked as a media buyer at an omni-channel agency called Vendo, where we managed brands on Amazon.com, Walmart.com, and I helped build up their TikTok Shop managed service from scratch, actually, and built up their affiliate program, managed a full team. We work with brands that, are a little bit on the smaller side, 6-figure ARRs, and then I've worked with billion-dollar brands as well. Over there, I was focusing specifically on creators, right? So I started with media buying. I actually learned, how it looked like when you took that creative asset from a creator and ran ads on it through Google, Facebook, TikTok, whatever. And then I started working on building out UGC there, working with creators collaboratively there, worked on an Amazon affiliate, marketing department there, work with a lot of tools like Levanta, Reversion, Impact.com, CJ, Rakuten, like you name it, whole suite of affiliate tools. Then started moving into influencer with, Aspire, Tribe, Creator IQ. So familiar with the space and the tools a lot. And as I was building TikTok Shop and working at an agency, I sort of realized that with social commerce, there's a lot more to come, and no one really has it figured out yet back then. Um, and I wanted to jump on to the technology side and work with AI, work with machine learning products to really solve these kinks in the workflow, right? Because fundamentally, what I've seen with affiliate programs and software is that as you scale it, it eats the team alive because it becomes an unscalable beast, which then you feel trapped by. And so at Yuka, some of the solutions we've been building have been super interesting because they're solving these core problems. And I get to bring that marketer's perspective where I've managed creators and managed projects for brands.
Love that. So you've got a depth of knowledge here in the social space. You've done general kind of affiliate marketing, which again, a lot of these straight D2C brands that did not start on Amazon, like that's their bread and butter, right? Like, and I think that's where your valuable experience comes from is, look, on Amazon, it's mainly all about demand capture, right? There's this many people that are searching for these many or this keyword this many times per month, right? How do I create a product that serves all these people that are searching for this search term? On the flip side, you have these other D2C brands that have gotten really, really good at basically creating engaging content off of Amazon, obviously, and they're pulling people in, whether it be from a Snapchat ad, or whether it be from a Meta ad, or whether it's a blog article, or whether it's SEO, or whether it's working through other affiliates to drive traffic to their site. And so I love that you've got that background. I guess my question to you, Sohan, is why is social commerce an important topic to be talking about today? And what are your predictions of like, where does social commerce go from here? We've heard all the craziness with TikTok Shop. It's going down, it's back up, and all of that good stuff. But like, where do you see, like, where's the puck going here? Even Meta has like talked about how they're going to do that for Instagram, yet that's yet to be seen, really. So tell me, where is social commerce headed in your opinion?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So my perspective comes from the fact that now that I'm in SaaS, I work with a suite of the top agencies and top brands in the space, right? So I'm constantly getting different people's perspectives. People are releasing industry reports on consumer trends, right? And what I've seen, with just how the creator economy is growing so rapidly and where social commerce is pacing to, is that people are switching from traditional glossy creative to more creative that emphasizes user generated content, or as people are calling it, creator generated content, right? The influencer has become a more trusted mode of delivery, and programs like communities are being activated by affiliate marketing, right? And people are going by reviews. People are going by people they trust or someone who knows someone they trust, right? So there's a lot of trust that's driving consumer shopping behaviors right now. One thing that's super interesting about TikTok is that, there's trust, but 80% of people actually spend time on the discover page looking at content and engaging there. And these are people where, unlike on Amazon, they're not actually searching for a search term on the platform with a certain degree of consideration. They're very raw shoppers. You're looking at Gen Z and then the rising Gen Alpha, which will be the next wave of purchasing power there. And you're appealing to them before they've even thought about buying the decision, right? So really with social commerce and social selling, it's really a more cost-effective way to use content and leverage the trust with consumers in a way that's not done with spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on PPC.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I agree with your perspective there. I do believe that over the next 5 to 10 years, the world of Amazon as we know it is only going to get more and more difficult. And to be honest with you, the brands that are just kind of like the Me Too private label brands where I found a spatula and I slapped my brand name on it. Like, I promise you in the next 5 to 10 years, those things are going to be dinosaurs. Those things are going to be extinct. Okay. And it's because like you're up against the overseas competitors that are going to be willing to drive those prices down to where they're only making a 1% margin. And they're happy with it because guess what? They're getting kickbacks from the government. They're getting all these other subsidies that we don't know anything about. There's this different like money laundering schemes that they could be playing too. So like, you don't want to play that game. right? So the question is, for all these people that got started on Amazon, if that's where the puck is going on Amazon and private label as we know it is going to die, then how do you prevent that from happening? And this is my prediction. The brands that are able to figure out demand capture for their products or their brand are going to be the ones that survive. Because guess what? Amazon's not going anywhere, right? Amazon's only going to continue to grow over the next decade. And what's going to happen is like Amazon just needs to be seen as like, it's probably the most trusted choice of shopping for most consumers. And that will probably only get more and more important over the next decade, right? To where the fact like you probably order something and literally it's going to be on your porch in the next hour, right? Like I think that's where Amazon's going in the next decade. So if that's where people prefer to shop is going to be on Amazon, of course you want your products on Amazon. We don't want to run away from Amazon, but guess what? In order to survive all the overseas competitors, you've got to be able to do something that they probably can't do and won't do, at least at a good scale. And that is demand generation for your products. Okay. And that's what you talked about, Sohan, where you talked about, I like the term, instead of UGC, user generated content, CGC, right? Creator generated content. I believe that that's where the game is going to be played. And the brands that are doing that at scale and have an affiliate army or a creator army constantly posting about their products are going to be the guys that are surviving and actually thriving 5 to 10 years from now. So the big question is this, Sohan. So great. Josh sold me. Sohan sold me on the fact that like I need to get into social selling. I don't even know where to begin. So where do people begin if they're a brand owner, they've got some cool products, they don't even know where to begin with social selling? Where do you start?
Yeah. So I'm going to start by telling you the number one thing not to do. One thing not to do is, now that TikTok Shop, unlike other influencer tools like, the Aspires and, Upfluences out there, right? They show you the revenue of the top performing creators. The number one thing people do is they get onto a platform like ours, or they go on a TikTok Shop and they just go and reach out to the top performing creators who never respond. That's the one thing you don't want to do. Yes, the affiliate plays an important role, but with TikTok, like I was saying, since 80% of people spend time on the discover page, you need to go and do research on what content is moving the needle. And think about the creator as sort of like a foil to the content that is the main character, in the fact that your persona on TikTok, right? Let's say they're, a young college student who's male, right? That creator is delivering a viral format in a relatable way to that persona you're trying to target. And so that's how you think about creators, like fundamentally, if you're just looking at content, excluding all the variables of like engagement rate, followers, whatever, this creator is relatable, this creator is authentic, and we're banking on trust over here to drive the conversion and drive awareness ultimately, like Josh was saying, demand generation to demand capture, right? So what you want to do on TikTok is just showcase your product in a relatable and creative way. And you need to dissect that between who's showcasing your product and how are they showcasing your product. So what I would do first is go and do a bunch of trend analysis, look at what people are doing that are similar, and just break down a bunch of hypotheses to put together a test during launch.
Love it. All right. Well, I think you've even got some slides to present. So let's dive into that, because I think that's the perfect segue into what I want to dive into is like, how do you actually do this? So I want to walk through our listeners, and those of you who are listening right now, go check us out on YouTube, because you're going to want to see what Sohan is presenting here. And what's going to happen is like, we're going to walk you through like literally like the basic steps. Step 1, come over here, analyze these competitors. Step 2, and we're going to walk through this methodically. Does that sound good, Sohan?
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and let's dive into it. All right. I think we're good here. All right, so let's start. So the first thing, like I was saying, is trend analysis, right? Throughout this presentation, I'm going to be walking you through the step-by-step, but the first thing you need to do before you start doing anything is at least a little bit of research, right? You should understand where things are heading on TikTok, because they're a lot different than an Amazon, right? There's different factors that drive conversion, drive engagement. There's ultimately a different customer persona that you're also working with on TikTok than on Amazon, right? So the first thing I do if I were starting this from scratch is dive into trend analysis. So for a lot of our Amazon watchers, let's start with an analogy that you guys are familiar with, right? Keywords. So what we can do is actually type in keywords associated with your niche in TikTok. I'm sure a lot of you had tried to like type in a keyword like shapewear into your TikTok search bar, right? One thing you can do to shamelessly plug in where I work is you can put in the keyword shapewear and we'll pull in all the top brands that are mentioning shapewear in their videos and in their content. We'll pull out hooks that they're using, and we'll also pull out more content inspiration and ideas. The way I would think about that, if I was an Amazon seller, is like this is a keyword generation tool. You can plug in your top non-branded search term here. Our AI will go find related topics and keywords and inspiration for you, and then you plug that in as well. So you can do this like virtuous cycle of research with your top non-branded search terms and TikTok trends to find out the most highly valuable and impactful research, right? And then once you figure out where the trends are, what's relevant to your product, you want to look at these trending products and start to really break down the content styles, the niches, and really dive into the nitty gritty here.
So let's go on to that, Sohan. So let's say I'm manufacturing like darts for like a dartboard. Okay. What if I go in there and I type in, just darts, right? Or darts for dartboard onto TikTok Shop or even onto Yuka. Okay. And I'm trying to find creators that are talking about darts, I guess. What if I don't see anybody talking about darts, or what if there are no other existing products out there that like creators are promoting?
Yeah.
Tell me about like, what would you do if you're that brand owner?
Yeah. So if you're trying to figure out, a product where you're sort of creating a new category, right? Like I did this with one of the brands I work with. It was like a karaoke machine product. And like people weren't really selling karaoke machines. You know what I mean? So what I'd do is I'd start from that list of top non-branded search terms, go through your reviews, go through all your content and things you've done on other channels, and compile a list of keywords related to your product or that solve like related complementary problems, right? Like a really easy example, for like darts is like looking up dartboard, you know what I mean? Or like dart games or something like that, right? Where you can go and find something related, put that in here and find related niches and then say like, hey, you guys created content that's very similar and we think it would be a good fit. We'd love to reach out to you. Here's what we do. We're actually the first to enter here. So we're offering this exclusive offer, X, Y, and Z.
Is it a good sign or a bad sign if there are no competitors on TikTok Shop for you, right? Is it good to enter a new category? You could argue yes. And then you could also argue like, no, like there's a reason why there's no competitors. Like you don't have a product that's viral worthy, so to speak.
Yeah. So I think it is a good, like, there's less pressure on your price, right? Like if you're going into an incredibly competitive category, I think you can all say supplements is incredibly competitive, right? You're going to have to deal with a lot of third-party sellers pushing down on price, doing those discounts, right? Operating on that 1% margin, like you said. So there is going to be an uphill battle there. But then same with no category, right? You're trying to capitalize on demand that really hasn't been proven by the market to be there. Either way, for both approaches, really it's going to be the same. You have to invest in creating a lot of good content and like showcasing and building awareness first. And then you're going to layer on all your TikTok Shop growth levers on top, right? So if you're coming in with darts and let's say no one knows about darts, what are some trends that you could capitalize on that are far related from darts, but have a lot of, search on or are big trends on TikTok? And how do you slowly capitalize on those and bring those back into showcasing educational and informational content to then drive conversion either on TikTok Shop or off platform? That's the way I'd look at it. It is an uphill battle, definitely, if there aren't a lot of products on there, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a way forward because TikTok Shop hasn't even been around in the US for that long. So it's still pretty new.
So what's interesting too for us, I agree with your perspective. when we first got onto TikTok Shop, like there were no other people selling exactly what we sell. But we did see some related products, right? As you said, like they're tangent. Okay, these other people are selling stationary related products. Like, let's see if we could reach out to them and see if we could get something to move there, right? And so we did, right? But it's not a for sure thing. But like I said, it's a numbers game. You've got to get awareness out there and get that flywheel kind of turning. So I just wanted to reiterate, like, just because there are no direct competitors, like that doesn't mean like it's a completely bad opportunity. And I would argue for any brand that's out there, like I think TikTok Shop is worth a shot, right? Reach out to, like, when I say like reach out to creators, like I'm talking like having like 1,000 creators sample your product and create videos for it, right? Like give away 1,000. Now we're talking about a good test in the market. We're not talking about here's 10 creators, here's 100 creators. You actually want at least as many creators that have posted like 1,000 videos. That's my perspective. And if at that point you're not seeing traction, okay, maybe there is something underlying that's not going to work for social commerce. What would you use as like a measuring stick that way, Sohan, like for like if you're going to test the market that's unproven, so to speak?
Yeah, so I think like there's a lot of preparation that comes into this once you launch too. Like you have to have a certain degree of like social proof. You know what I mean? Like to convince the affiliate that they should take on your project and even post. So like what I would do is like, get those reviews, right? Import those from, D2C, like use a preferred partner like Yotpo or whatever. Make sure that, you have some social proof there. Try to get a preliminary amount of sales as well before you reach out to creators so that even if you are newer to the market, you can still tell people like, hey, this is a hot product. People are buying it, right? And that's going to significantly increase your chances that every piece of content you put out sells. To go back to your first point, when it comes to like essentially proving the concept that your product can work, I think it's pretty iterative. I agree with your statement where it was like you need 1,000 pieces of content. Like, sure, let's take like 500 or 1,000, right? Depending on your scale of sampling. It is going to take some time to understand what the viral format is on TikTok Shop and what works. And you're going to need to do a couple cycles of these samplings before you have something that you're ready to amplify with ads, right? For example, different content styles and different ways influencers showcase the product will have different average video views, which signal like, hey, are people staying on this video long enough? Do they find this entertaining? And then they're going to have different click-through rates, right? Where it's like, hey, if I boosted this content with ads, could we have a proper conversion with a proper ROAS here? So I would start looking for those signals when you're doing this sampling at scale. Find the successful variables and then bake them into a creative test for your next round of sampling and see the incremental growth.
I love that. I think that you hit on that. I think that's a really good point, well taken, which is like this is an iterative process, right? You've got to like send a bunch of samples out, see what happens, see who's working well, see what's getting better views, then go find more of those type of people and say, hey, these are the other videos that have trended a little better than others. So create more like that, right? And it is iterative. But I think like it's worth the uphill climb. So, all right. So let's move on to step number 2 here.
Yeah. So the next step is the product analysis. Like Josh was just saying, an iterative process also, you need to understand the variables within that iterative process and understand how you can verify success, right? So what we've done is we've also broken down content into its like modularized format where we've correlated certain components of it with certain performance metrics. To explain that more deeply, let's talk about hooks. So a hook is what you see in the first 2 to 3 seconds of the video, right? Some people say 3, some people say 2. But ultimately, like if you can get your average watch time of your video beyond a couple seconds, the algorithm is going to prioritize your content a little bit more. And I would challenge a lot of the viewers to actually look at their content in their TikTok account and see on average, like when people are dropping off in their video. And if you find people dropping off, below 5 seconds, below 3 seconds, I would take a look at some hooks that are really working on the platform and try testing those hooks into similar content styles, right? And so that'll help increase your average video views. That'll help increase your visibility really affordably rather than boosting it through ads, right? And then selling points. When you're launching on TikTok Shop versus an Amazon, the customer thinks differently. The customer has different purchasing decisions. You're not going to drive purchases through like A plus content and infographics, right? You're going to have to work your selling points in a very creative way that works with the trends on TikTok. And the way you verify that is through your click-through rate, right? So we're able to see like what selling points are really working. And we see those, high video views, but with a big click-through rate and then a big click-to-order rate, right? We can go into all the KPIs, but ultimately, like, in the middle of your video, after you introduce your content with a strong hook, what selling points are really driving the customer to take action here and, do a little bit more exploration on your listing for your product, right? And then the last component is like, how is this product being packaged natively to TikTok users, right? So there's viral content styles. Like, for example, for cakes, something I'd look at is like, hey, like, is there like, get ready with me, you know what I mean? Something like that, right? Or is there like a viral transformation, which is something that our product pulled here, right? And if you have that content that's already working, the algorithm is boosting that kind of content in general, and you layer in hooks and selling points and test that off of something that's booming, that's a pretty good hypothesis on like, hey, this creative has a stronger sign to work than if I take what's worked on Meta, you know what I mean, and launch that here.
Yeah. One thing that I love about the tool that you guys have, Yuka, is that you can put in your product here and it's going to pull up all these like top selling points and the top hooks. So here's the hack that I would share, right? As soon as you're getting like a bunch of these creator videos and you can drop your product in here and it starts pulling out like, hey, here's your top performing hooks. Guess what you do with that content? Go update your Amazon A+ content and your secondary images and even your bullet points in your description. And like you work all of that in there, right? Because like if it's doing well over here, it probably means that's a really good hook to maybe start with your secondary image, right? Or maybe even put that type of wording or phrase like creatively on your main image, maybe on your product packaging or something like that. It's like ready to go, I don't know, ready to shed 50,000 pounds. I don't know. You know what I mean? Something outlandish. But I think that's the point, is like take what's working well and then go apply it onto your Amazon listings. That's, I think, like the power of this whole social commerce thing, is like you're finally getting like live feedback from people. And if something's trending well on TikTok, it means there's some component of it that's resonating with people. And if it's resonating with people that like stops them in the middle of their scroll, their doom scrolling, then obviously it would stop them in their tracks if they're actually looking for that type of product on Amazon. So I just want to reiterate like how important I think that is. So Sohun, let's go step 3.
Those are great points. Yeah, I mean, to go even deeper also, like, we do a product level analysis, right? Where we can look at what's working across all the videos on this product. But sometimes you want to understand your creator profile, right? And your customer persona. So we can go a level even deeper, right? So let's say I want to focus on one video, the top performing video. Like, we can modularize that even deeper and just look at the key idea, the hook, the selling point. And then you can just give this step-by-step script to creators. Because you've got to think about TikTok Shop and social selling versus influencer marketing. With influencer marketing, you're taking a professional content creator and you're collaborating with them to talk to their audience. With TikTok Shop and social selling, you're actually working with a lot of everyday people who aren't super experienced content creators, or who aren't doing this deep dive research with like 4 to 5 hours to come up with a viral format, right? So my thoughts are, why not just use technology and what's working out there and give them a script and like variate some of these elements to what's relevant to your product? Look at the audience demographics and adjust that messaging. Like in this video for cakes, right? It's actually a majority male audience watching it. And that's super interesting because that actually tells me that, hey, top video for cakes is more about maybe their male partners gifting it to their female partners. You know what I mean? And that's going to completely change the way I message the product. And if I didn't do that, I might just go in and be like, here's a woman talking about cakes. Let's copy the content and give it to the creators. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's keep going.
Cool. And this is some more things you can do with keyword research. So one thing that we can do is you can take a list of your top non-branded search terms, like I was saying earlier, right? And find out if it was mentioned by a creator. So I've worked with brands who are launching those really niche products, like Josh was saying, where they don't have a category that really works. Like one brand that comes to mind that I work with really closely is called My Magic Healer. We help take them from like a 4 to 5K MRR, completely organic in a couple of months, just through doing more niche affiliate outreach and management, right? So we take in related keywords to the problems customers were facing or similar things that people were searching for on Amazon. And we'd find every single creator that's related or mentioning or talking about that, right? Because if you think about why that's important, I want to give a creative brief to someone who's a better fit for doing that content style, right? Each creator has their own feel, like their own theme, the own way they promote content. So if I'm targeting people based on signals that they can follow my creative brief better, that's what I'm going to do with my niche product, because it's all about showcasing my product creatively to create that free brand awareness, right? And then, of course, if you want to do some outreach on it, we can turn that into a list and automate that outreach. So you're only spending most of your time doing the research and less of your time manually messaging the creators each one by one.
Yeah, I love that. Well, and I think here's the important aspect of that too, Sohan, is that you look at like, oh, I just need to go after, like when people think about like, hey, I need to go find a creator that's going to go talk about my brand, you're theoretically going to think like, oh, I got to go after the people that are producing the highest GMV or the best creators. And as you mentioned earlier, it's like, it's actually quite the opposite, which is exactly why I love social selling, is because like, imagine if you could just have 2,000 small little creators that would end up producing the exact same volume that one of those big guys would. But guess what? You're doing it at pennies on the dollar compared to what you'd be paying that top creator, right? Because they're going to command a premium and things like that. But more importantly than this, those top creators are going to be really hard to get a hold of and to actually showcase your product. But these smaller people, right, are going to be more accepting. But here's the challenge as well. Okay, great. I want to work with all these small guys. My wife, she has 100,000 plus following on TikTok as well. And she gets hit up all day long. Like her message thread is just like, it's atrocious on TikTok, right? Like she doesn't want to dive in there. She's just getting spammed all day long. Like, will you feature my product? Will you feature this product? Will you feature that product? So you have to get in the mindset of these creators that are getting hit up with hundreds of messages per day, per hour almost. And you've got to think about like, how am I going to stand out? And so really like the best way to stand out is instead of having the pray and spray approach of like, I'm just going to reach out to all women who talk, all women creators are my audience. It's like, well, to your point, go find these people. And what I love, we're using Yuka. My favorite thing is like, we'll type in the keyword that we want, and then we'll grab all of those creators and then we'll send them into like our bot campaigns where it's like, it keeps messaging them until they reply or ask for a sample, right? And our message reply rate, so I'm curious what your average is that you see on Yuka. We have seen anywhere right now, I think we're averaging like 11%, but on some of my more targeted campaigns, we are getting 15 to 20% response rates, which in my opinion, like that's an astronomically high. Like this is a cold DM to these creators. So Sohan, like, what are you seeing on that front?
That is like 5 times higher than like the average response rate on TikTok Shop. Like I've audited like hundreds of TikTok shops from agencies and big brands. And like for any small seller that's coming on, you need to expect a 1 to 3 response rate when you get on, if you're doing everything right. Fundamentally with, Josh's brand and like what they're doing is they've proven their success on the platform. and that hooks the affiliate in to respond to their message. So your response rate can get higher. It definitely does start at 1 to 3%. Once you start getting those sales, you fix some leaks in how you're messaging, right? Because like Josh is also automating follow-ups. He's doing very targeted approaches to people. You start to get higher into that middle, single figure percents, right? And then to get to that double digit percents, you really have to be selling through. So all people need to think about when they respond to your messages is this product likely to sell if I post a video that's not that great? Like
Yeah.
being completely blunt. That's how one of the things creators do when they make their decisions. The way brands can get around that is through this personalized outreach, right? Let's say, Josh's wife, 100K followers, receiving tons of DMs, but someone sends her a creative brief with a very personalized message on a piece of content she created last week. I'm like pretty sure that would capture a lot of attention from her and at least get her to think and read about the message a bit more than another one being like, here's 50% commission for my new product.
Yep. On the point of commission, we haven't even talked about that, or maybe is that coming up later?
We haven't talked about commission. I don't have that here right now in the slides, but I can, go over that a little bit. I talked about this on a previous podcast episode I did, where people were starting to look at commissions of top brands and like matching them. That can be like a false growth signal, right? So when you plug in your commission into TikTok Shop in your open collaboration, it actually gives you a range. It says like, hey, if you plug in this protein powder product, people are offering 15 to 20% within this range. When you're launching, you don't want to be on the lower end. You want to be on the higher end, right? But you don't need to go like astronomically high, because if you think about what's going to drive the needle here to the affiliate in terms of an offer, you want to have a good commission, but you also want to give them a little bit of a deal to bring to their audience too. Because I will say the way they look at it is it's a combination of the affiliate offer times the product's likelihood to sell. I mean, Josh's brand has a ton of leverage because it's selling so well. He could probably lower the commission on his products and still not hurt his response rate too much because the product's so likely to sell, right? Alternatively, newer sellers who come on the platform, they might need to adjust with a better affiliate offer to get them to choose something that's less likely to sell based on their visible sales volume. So that's how I look at commission strategy when I'm launching a new product on TikTok Shop.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. I think you articulated that well. Most people get hung up with like, what's the magic commission percentage that I need to give to people? And to your point, like there isn't, right? There's going to be a range. What I would try to say is like, all right, maybe start with something that, is a little higher than average, right? And if you're not getting responses, then maybe try to push it up a little bit more and push it up until you get something. And then as you talked about, like, hey, once you kind of reach mass volume, then you can maybe start bringing that back down because you've created that like network effect, so to speak, where people trust you. Which goes back to like, let's talk about this. One of the strategies to launch on TikTok Shop is like, look, back in the day, people used to do these search, find, buy campaigns on Amazon, right? It's like, hey, go purchase a bunch of people that will go purchase your product and reimburse them. Guess what? Doesn't work on Amazon now, but that works on TikTok Shop. And I'll just leave it at that because look, this is imagine Amazon circa 2010, 2015. Like that's where we're at right now in the TikTok Shop stage. Will that last forever? I don't think so. So while the getting's good, maybe employ some of those old tactics that were working once upon a time on Amazon and apply them into TikTok Shop and make it appear that you already have reached mass volume. That gives you a much better leverage point when you start reaching out to these creators.
Yeah, definitely have heard a lot of similar Amazon tactics, and there are a few people doing that, but like Josh is saying, like it's not like very. For some reason, there's a gap, and people just don't do that on TikTok Shop. But it is a marketplace with an algorithm, with an appearance you have to present. So why not? It's a good call out.
Love it. All right, let's move on here.
Cool. So now let's just go over how to actually reach out to creators. So you've done all your research, you've put together the perfect series of creative briefs based on the personas you want to target and trends you want to capitalize on, right? Now it's just all about how do I take out all the manual mess from messaging these creators individually. So one thing that I get asked a lot is like, and we talked about this earlier, is like, what's the average response rate? So a piece of clarity I want to, drive here is that when you send a target collaboration or target invite, which is the creator's preferred invitation type because they don't have to use a fixed monthly sample, it doesn't start a chat with the creator. So fundamentally, there's actually no way for a creator to respond to a target invite unless they go find your shop separately and create a thread and message you. So it's really interesting where like, we'll see a lot of people send target invites and they're like, why is my response rate so low? Because you are verifying with the wrong KPI. You need to verify with your incremental lift in sample requests. That's what you need to do there.
So Hunt, I think that, okay, so double down on that because I thought it was going to be the exact opposite for this reason. And I would love for you to explain more. When we first started, the only thing that I did was targeted campaign outreaches. That's it. Like I would just spray and pray a bunch of targeted outreaches. So tell me again, where is that ending up in the creator's message bucket or DMs or lack thereof? Because we were getting like decent, we were still getting like hundreds of sample requests along the way. And we've also started adding Yuka and their regular message bot, which is just lit things on fire 10x. But tell me the difference of that, because I do think that is a really important call out.
Yeah, no, it's super funny because I was like thinking about it too. Because when I was managing brands too, I was like, I need to look at what the creators are receiving and validate everything that I'm doing here. You know what I mean? And I don't think people do that enough. So I created my own TikTok shop affiliate account, posted some videos, posted some AI generated videos too, of course, because I work at an AI company. And then I looked at where creators were receiving these. So there's actually a few things in the creator tab under a shop button. So you click into your TikTok, you click earn, and then you go into this portal where you manage all your TikTok shop activity. This is actually separate from the DMs you receive on your TikTok platform, like your social platform. This is a TikTok shop portal embedded within there. And then you'll see a section called collab invites. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen creators in DMs say, hey, send me a collab invite. That's a target collaboration. There's different wording on the seller side versus the creator side, but creators understand it as a collab invite because in their UI, they see a collab invite section. So that's where they receive target plans. When I'm a creator and I click into that, I actually see almost like a little like email flyer thing, just like an invite, right? And I can click into that invite or that email, and then I can request a free sample and the product's already available to promote, because with target collaborations, you don't need to request to promote it or add it to your showcase. I click on free sample and then my sample request goes straight through. So it's very frictionless versus in my in my creator portal, there's also a messages section. And you can, when you look at it, it's called like chat with seller. And this is where your messages go if you're DMing creators on TikTok Shop Affiliate. And this is where people pull responses from. So there's a little bit of a disconnect. It's like, I send creators a target collab here, and then I'm looking at all my replies here, and I'm trying to make them match up. And it doesn't really make any sense because you're sending invites to a place where people can't respond in your portal. And you're tracking responses in a place where you never sent an invite.
Interesting. So then where's the best place to reach out to people? And specifically on Yuka, what's the best type of bots to be using then?
Yeah. So what I did was I highlighted our message plus target collab product card bot. And this is something we actually engineered in-house where you can send them a target invite. That way they don't have to use one of their fixed monthly sample requests. So it's very frictionless, no risk to the creator. And then you have a messaging chat open because you need to send them follow-up messages and reminders that they've received a product so you can get that good offer in front of them. And then from there, you actually have a way to verify your response rate in addition to verifying your incremental lift and sample requests from starting this.
Love it. All right. So the best one to use on Yuka is the message plus target collab product card. And I would just like double down on that to say, like, as soon as we started using Yuka, like we literally like 10x the number of creators that were signing up with us monthly just by using this feature. And it also replaced one of our team members that was manually sending these target collabs originally. So win-win across the board.
Yeah, I don't want to take any responsibility for that.
Love it. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, so this is the best invite type for cold start shops or when you're starting there. And then over here, going back to the keyword research, we've done over here, right? So name your bot, include a naming convention with the intended goal, and then add in, I recommend personally, because TikTok shop with affiliate marketing, your sales on your product are visible. So limit the creator's focus to just 1 to 2 things you want them to focus on, right? If you want to add your PID, maybe your second PID, which is the same thing as a SKU, is a variant or a related product or something else you want to push that has a high chance of selling, right? So think of your bot as like a campaign, right? I chose the best messaging type. I'm messaging all the creators that align with this keyword based on my campaign goal, and I'm going to add in the products I want to focus on. And then next, here's all the nitty gritty on how I would fill this out. So for your target collab, use the same naming convention, because once you start using Yuka and you're reaching out to thousands of creators a month, you're going to want to track your overall outreach performance via a naming convention for standardized reporting. So you can understand and A/B test different variants of your messaging, understand and validate the response rate of the creator profile you're reaching out to as well. And then for target collabs, going back to that commission rate number, you need to include something that's at least 5% higher. When I'm a creator and I actually receive a target invite, I get to see that, hey, this target invite is 5% higher than your open plan commission. So that's another point of leverage you have to hook in your creator. So it's extremely important because it is visible to the creator if you just send them a target invite with the same open plan commission. They'll know you're just like, sending a bunch of mass outreach just to send more outreach. You're not actually giving them a better offer. And then allow at least 6 to 8 months to promotion. I think people get really stingy when they, turn on their target invites. Like, give the creator a chance to promote the product during its viral period. That's going to actually affect how much they opt in. Because if you think about the production cycle, right? I receive the content, I plan out the content, I post it, and get my sample requests approved, right? That's like a 1 month cycle. So if I give you like 90 days to promote it, it's just sort of like I'm not even able to reap the benefits of my return from trying to promote this content multiple times. So give them enough time. And then the last point here is draft a message that leads with social proof. If you're Josh Hadley's brand, right, and you're selling incredibly well, lead with that and appeal to the affiliate's decision-making process. If you're an Amazon brand that is crushing it on Amazon, maybe doing 7 or 8 figures there, right? Let them know that you are an Amazon brand that is selling through. Say like, hey, we're an 8-figure brand on Amazon with 10,000 5-star reviews, and we're launching on TikTok Shop right now. And this is exactly what we want to offer you and why you should accept. Boom.
Love it.
And so I keep the messages short and sweet. The way I think about affiliates is they're going through 50 target collab invites a day, maybe 100 if they're really good, right? So in 5 seconds, can I hook this affiliate and get them interested in promoting my product? Don't overwhelm them with all your USPs and all your information right now, because that's going to turn them off and they're going to stop reading that, and that's going to affect your response rate.
Yep. Here's one of my favorite features that we started using with you guys. Like you talked about, like, hey, a curated message is going to stand out and sound better to the creator, right? It's like, hey, I appreciate your content is about, it's very wholesome and I love your 3 kids or something like that, right? Your AI tool to create that, like I tested it and like it basically will do that for you. So like you say like, yeah, use AI and it's going to read that creator's content. It's like, hey, you have a beautiful family and I love your content about I don't know, outdoor farming or whatever it is, right? And it's going to like call it out like, so you're already like 10 steps above all the other mass outreach companies. So that's been one of my favorite features as well. Real quick on the target collabs, are you limited? Is TikTok still limiting you to only like 1,000 active campaigns at any given point in time?
I don't think so. I'd have to double check and get back to you on that. But we have a lot of brands that are sending out very high volumes of target invites, but not completely sure.
Because we were originally blocked from creating new ones unless we retired old targeted campaigns. But maybe that's since changed. So.
Yeah, no, I'll take a look into that.
Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this stuff up.
Cool. And then, the next thing is like you just choose the outreach you want to run it on. You reach out to like a couple thousand creators a day. Anyone who's sent out target invites manually knows it's a huge pain. And then you start running it. And so, for all of the viewers here, we love Josh. He's an amazing partner of ours. We'd love to give anyone a 30-day free trial on our growth plan. Of course, if you guys want this deck, Josh will send it out to all the viewers, but you can also email me. Happy to share every resource over. I'm an open book. And then what I do also is I give brands a free affiliate program audit, and we can take a look at all the leaks in your program, where there's redundancies or room to automate with AI. Maybe there's a way to amplify insights with our trend analysis and keyword generation tools and things like that as well.
Love it. Sohan, this is awesome. And I would encourage anybody that's getting into this, come check out, make sure you grab that deck and follow this step-by-step process that he laid out. We barely scratched the surface as it comes to social selling today. We will have Sohan back on the podcast and we're going to dive even deeper. Today was like social selling, social commerce 101. We will get into the 201, 301 class here coming up. And Sohan's going to break down like what he sees working with some of those bigger brands. And then I'll also share kind of what's working with our brand and how we're leveraging Yuka's AI tool. But Sohan, as we wrap things up, I'd love to leave the audience with 3 actionable takeaways. And you let me know if I'm missing anything here. So action item number 1 is I hope that you've been convinced that social selling is where things are heading. So if you're not, what I would say, like action item number 1 is like start to make social selling and social commerce one of your top priorities in the business, because the best time to start is now/yesterday. And I promise you, we are already seeing this in the product categories that we are in on Amazon. Like those that have an outward traffic demand generation are kicking everybody's trash. And the people that are just relying on their Amazon search volume and stuff, they're losing organic ranking. And it's not just price and it's not just overseas competitors. It's a matter of volume of people that are searching for particular products that they're finding off of Amazon. Okay. So start looking into social commerce. That's action item number 1. Action item number 2 is to sign up with one of these tools to go and start experimenting. Like you've got to do the research on your kind of like your niche in specifically on TikTok Shop. I don't even think there's any other social commerce platforms to go to at this point that are worth your time. So I would go on to TikTok Shop. I would sign up. I would go through that process to like just get your account signed up. There's going to be some hoops that you have to jump through. And then it's get one of those tools. There's Kalo Data. There's also Yuka.ai. There's a lot of these different platforms that are going to allow you to see like what type of products are moving and who are the type of creators that are promoting those products. And then from there, you'll be able to do some outreach. So my third and final action item is like, look, social commerce is honestly not as hard as many people make it up to be. Like, honestly, the strategy is this: sign up for TikTok Shop, start reaching out to creators, period. Like it is as simple as that. But Sohan showed us some more advanced ways to make those outreaches more meaningful, to make sure that you're reaching out to the right creators. So follow those steps. And if you follow those steps, like this is an iterative process that we talked about. So what you're going to do is you're going to stumble upon something that's like, okay, these type of creators are working well. Oh, these type of products from my brand are doing well. All right, well, screw the other ones. Like, let's run with these ones for now, right? So it's just kind of like, it's one of those interesting things where you almost have to like just throw things at the wall and see what sticks, and then keep doubling down on whatever is sticking at the time. So Hun, anything else that you would add as an action item?
No, that was very well put together. I love the way you were communicating that and drawing some parallels with Amazon too, because like fundamentally the shopper base is the same. Are you going to diversify your channels or just stay on Amazon only forever? How are you generating new demand and not relying on Amazon's constraints to grow your business? So super great action items and great takeaways.
Awesome. All right. So Hun, final 3 questions. What is the most influential book that you've read and why?
Yeah, so the most influential book I read, and it was when I was working in operations, super random. It's called Six Thinking Hats. I think fundamentally with business, you need to have good critical thinking skills and approach problems from multiple different directions. So the author put forward this paradigm of hats, where maybe you'd have a red hat that considers the humanistic impacts of any decisions you make or things you move forward with. Maybe you have a blue hat that shows how to organize a process and control so you can make things more scalable in your business. Maybe you have a black hat where you're actually looking at things from a critical perspective and actually contemplating, if we launch this initiative versus another initiative, what's the cost benefit? So that's one of the best books I've read, highly influential into how I learned, digested information, and dealt with problems.
Love it. Great recommendation. All right. Question number 2. What's your favorite AI tool or ChatGPT prompt that you've been using and why?
Yeah, so my favorite ChatGPT prompt, it's something that I've been using with our team to take some of the work off their plate, is I'd go on to, podcasts like Ecom Breakthrough, I'd host my own, and I'd take the transcript of every single video, I'd download a PDF file, and I'd prompt ChatGPT to turn this into a very actionable ebook with takeaways and also suggest some lead magnets. And so for a lot of business owners who are looking for ways to advertise and grow their business, right? Starting from 0 to 100, because 100 to 1,000,000 is a lot easier. You need to like figure out very fast and scrappy ways to distribute your content and information and give your customers what they want. So that's been a game changer. We're looking at launching a series of ebooks from like every single podcast we've been on, and just sharing all this information with everyone.
Well, I can't wait till the ebook comes out for this one. All right. So in third and final question here is, who is somebody that you admire or respect the most in the e-commerce space that other people should be following and why?
Yeah. Actually, one of my old CEOs, Darren Saul, who's the CEO of Vendo, was very involved in my growth. And he actually helped me move through different departments at Vendo to learn things from a lot of different perspectives. Incredibly intelligent. They have a lot of blogs, posts. They're owned by this bigger company called Platform as well, and they focus on omni-channel growth. So they have blogs for like launching on Walmart.com, which is like very hard to find information on, but then also how that spills over into Amazon, how to get into retail and launch your brick and mortar strategy simultaneously. And then TikTok Shop, because ultimately like business as a whole to be about how you grow your business omni-channel and really bring it to life, right? I just find it very interesting on like what they're doing, and I'm biased because I work there. And then also follow Josh Hadley, of course. But yeah, that's one of my big interests and big information sources into a lot of perspectives that I have today.
Love that. Well, great. Well, Sohan, thanks so much for coming on the show and for your time today. If people want to follow you, they want to learn more about you, where's the best place to reach out?
Yeah, you can reach out on my email address on the deck, sohan@yuka.ai. Also, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just my first and last name. And I have my call link in there if anyone ever wants an audit or wants to chat social commerce.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thanks again for your time today. We'll have you back on the show for 2.0.
Looking forward to it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecombreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.